Hello everyone, and thank you for coming to the presentation today. I will be speaking to you about the current budget crisis that our library system is facing. I will be discussing budget cutting initiatives, both short-term and long-term solutions that I believe are viable options for us to pursue as budget talks near. Many libraries throughout the United States are going through the same period of transition. The trend to decrease spending in libraries is on the rise, and many are facing cuts to their budgets, just as we are. It is essential that we find ways to make these necessary cuts without sacrificing services. That is key. The first set of solutions that I would like to propose are short-term solutions, meaning immediately up to 3 months. Many of these measures that I'm about to outline are admittedly gap-stop measures to ensure the longevity of the entire library system, hoping to avoid closing branches at all cost. The first solution that I'm proposing is that of an immediate external hiring freeze. Along with the hiring freeze, it will also be necessary to lay off or eliminate some full-time positions. If a position is found to be essential for operations, then full-time employees can often be replaced by part-time employees. All open positions, if there are any left, will then most likely be filled by those positions that were eliminated. After much research, it was found that many libraries across the country use layoffs as a means of reducing cost. Wage increases would also cease. By this I mean cost of living adjustments and step raises. Consulting with employee bargaining groups is crucial here. Union contracts would have to be examined and, if need be, renegotiated to include these cost-saving measures. Additionally, furlough days can be initiated as short-term savings measures. Many library systems have turned to furloughs as a way to keep libraries open and programs running while still cutting back on cost. Once again, employee bargaining groups will need to be consulted on these. The next cost-cutting solution pertains to health care. From 2002 to 2012, the average total healthcare premiums in the United States has increased approximately 80%. Because the bulk of our budget is spent not only on employee salaries but also on health care, it's essential that negotiations begin immediately to cut down on the cost of the latter. Our healthcare coverage will be increasing by 18% this year, and administration is advised to negotiate through the library's underwriters with its insurance company to change healthcare coverage, thus putting more of a financial burden on our employees. Some states have already begun to make this transition by shifting some of its healthcare expenses to the employee. But in our case, Michigan's Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act sets limits on the amount that we can contribute to a medical benefit plan. Thus, we are mandated to pass the difference in healthcare costs onto our employees. Another suggestion that I have is to reduce branch hours. This would be a way to increase efficiency. We're going to have smaller staff numbers, so we will not be able to maintain the branch staffing-wise with shorter hours. As suggested earlier, if staff cuts are implemented, this measure would also serve to eliminate the need for unnecessary staff hours. Other short-term solutions would include cutting materials budgets, print materials, non-print materials such as books or AV items. Also, removing unused databases should also be contemplated. And another option to consider is reducing the number of computers and/or software replaced throughout the entire library system. Effective immediately, the IT and tech services managers should renegotiate vendor contracts for reduced rates where applicable. These are the short-term solutions that I am proposing. Next, I'd like to discuss long-term cost-cutting solutions. With the addition of these long-term solutions, it will be possible to have sufficient savings in order to decrease the chances of more drastic steps later. By long-term, I mean a 3 to 18 month time frame. There are a number of long-term solutions that have worked for other libraries across the country. One solution is to call for a millage. If our city residents would approve a small tax dedicated to library funding, this would help provide a solid base for the future. Let me give you an example. In 2011, Troy Public Library in Michigan launched a bid for a dedicated millage. Because the city's budget did not include monies for library staff and supplies, Troy proposed a millage of 0.7% for 5 years, amounting to approximately $3.1 million per year. The millage vote passed with 58% in favor. Calling for a dedicated library millage is a viable option for us. Another solution that has worked for several library systems is to join with their county. We could join with our county to combine resources. This has worked well for libraries in New Jersey and Minnesota. And a last resort effort would be to privatize the library. By turning over the daily operations of our public library system to a private company, such as Library Systems and Services Incorporated of Germantown, Minnesota, we could ultimately see substantial savings. I'm sorry, that's Germantown, Maryland. In closing, if all of the recommended steps outlined come to pass, it is my belief that we can maintain all of our current branches with limited hours, staffing, programs, and materials. These solutions may seem extreme, but they have worked well for other library systems throughout the country and can work well for us. This would be the best solution, as all members of our community would continue to receive library services. And that concludes my presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
You mentioned that furlough days were used in other libraries. Can you elaborate on that, and what was the savings?
Yes, actually, furlough days helped the city of Santa Clara in California to balance their budget. Also, when state of Georgia employees were asked to take 2 days off per month as unpaid leave from 2009 to 2010, this accounted for 9.2% payroll savings. So that is a viable option for us. Is there anyone else? Yes.
How would privatizing our library system really save us any money? Could you please give an example?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. An example would be there was a library system in Jackson County, Oregon, and the county tax base took a hit and had to survive a federal government program cut that ended up costing the county library system an $8.5 million reduction in their budget. The library board tried twice to get a levy passed to replace this funding shortfall, and levies failed each time. The county library system closed their doors and remained closed for 5 months. At the conclusion of the request for proposal process, the county budget committee voted unanimously to award LSSI a 5-year, $3.1 million annual management contract. This saved them approximately $5.4 million per year just by privatizing the library. Are there any other questions? Yes.
What do you propose we do if either the millage or joining with the county library system fails?
If either the millage or joining with the county library system does not succeed, then we will be forced to close 2 of our current branches. We would have to make up for the loss with the library's systems bookmobile. Under my proposed plan, 6 of our 8 branches would remain open and 2 mid-performing branches would need to close. I believe it's vital to keep libraries open in fragile communities, and by fragile communities, I mean communities where there's limited access to transportation, job assistance, internet service, and materials that are vital for the survival of these residents. By closing them, it is my hope that these residents will still be able to travel to other branches to receive the services that they need. The bookmobile can travel to nursing homes, schools, and other public places to reach those who do not have that opportunity. But the bookmobile, however, can only provide materials but not internet access, and they're only can come at very limited times. Okay, there's no more questions. Well, thank you all for coming. If you have any more questions, you can see me after. Thank you.